Today, on our first day back, my guests, and he had confirmed, was the embattled, the suspended chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, who also happens to be Budalangi Member of Parliament, Ababu Namwamba. We spoke last night. He said he was coming on. It was all confirmed. He went for his first hearing today. A short while ago, I got a WhatsApp message from Mheshimiwa himself. I'm going to read it to you just now. He says, "My apologies, Ndugu. I've got to obey Mr. Speaker's gag order. But I sure will sit on that bench after all this maneno." Of course, he was referring to a gag order by Speaker Justin Muturi, warning members who are involved in that scandal not to speak outside of the House chambers. Now, that's besides the fact, because this reads like fiction to anybody. The fact that the corruption, alleged corruption that's been going on in the House, the tape recordings, if you will, of the man himself and his boss, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, head of ODM, tape recordings, which are going to be part of that investigation, by the way, the doctoring, if you will, of various reports by individuals and being paid for all these alleged claims of mass corruption, deceit, you name it. What is going on? We're calling this show today The State of Corruption. But I can't talk to you for a full hour on my own without a guest. So what do? Well, thank God I've got friends in this town, because I made a quick phone call and my guest just happened to literally be around the corner. I wouldn't tell you where, but that's where he was. And he showed up. Thank goodness for that. Tonny Gachoka is a man who knows his way about just about every corridor in this town. And he's going to talk about corruption without fear or favor. And we're going to go through everything. Anglo Leasing. Why now? Why do our 13 members, or rather 13 alleged suspects, being arraigned in court in Anglo Leasing? Of course, we'll talk about other scandals. And then this one that reads that like fiction, Ababu Namwamba's claims. How is that one going to pan out? Is corruption so endemic in this country that there are so many forces, powerful forces against the whole thing? My guest all this evening will be Tonny Gachoka. The shocker from Gachoka is ready to issue some more shockers. You can start tweeting or continue tweeting. My Twitter handle is @Koinange Jeff. The hashtag is JKL. Tony, you have a Twitter handle, right?
Tonny Gachoka, yes. At Tonny Gachoka.
He's not quite sure, but just try @Tonny Gachoka. All right, Tony, come on down. Let's talk about this, because this, I mean, look, and Ababu is my friend, Tony. I got to say, he is my friend. At least he, good to see you, brother.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, brother.
And Jeff, you're back on air. Or maybe we're in the dark.
Matusi nayo.
Nikuuliza tu. Nilikuwa naona blank.
But you were watching 1970s movie television.
What I was doing, I think, I was wandering and reading and seeing my son and my kids love to read and play football. So TV made us remember how to play Scrabble and chess and made people at home look for ideas.
Because it was so boring.
But now that Jeff is back, everybody's on the bench.
Right here. Right here. Good to see you, Tony.
And you.
Ababu. He had confirmed yesterday, man. He confirmed. He said he was coming. But look, he was good enough to send me a tweet, WhatsApp. And he also sent me a copy of the Speaker's gag order.
Do you know where Ababu Namwamba was born? He was born in Uganda.
Before we do that, hold that thought, Tony. Hold that thought.
I want to tell you about Ababu.
JKL begins right now. And we are back. It's been a while. We had to run that montage just to make sure that it is JKL live at the Intercontinental Hotel here with a man who literally just stepped in because my guest has backed out at the last minute. He is the former PSC chairman because he's been suspended, right? Or he might come back, Tony?
Are you shocked that a politician who said he's coming to your show did not come?
I'm not shocked.
Do you know when Uhuru was then the leader of the official opposition,
right,
his political partner was Mwai Kibaki.
Right.
And he wrote a letter with Kofi Annan to send him to The Hague.
What?
I'm telling you. Kibaki should have been at The Hague. Raila should have been at The Hague. But they sent Uhuru and they sent Ruto. So Ababu right now did three things. First, he tapes the former prime minister.
Right.
You know.
Is that ethical, Tony?
Let me ask you. Where is Meguna? Where is John Githongo? You don't do this when you hold high office. You're Secretary General of the Orange Democratic Party movement.
Yeah.
You work for the Prime Minister. You work for the party leader and the members of the party. You have discussions that are private. And if you disagree with them, the honorable thing to do is to resign and to vacate your office and to go ahead and pursue anything that you wish to be political.
So why tape, Tony?
Personally, I think it is because he's a lawyer and understands the issues of chain of evidence. The problem with Kenyans is that sometimes they don't look at the history of people. Ababu was born in 1975 in Uganda. And I don't even want to go about the fact that now he's Kenyan. I am saying on JFK...
Come on.
I am telling you now, Ababu was born in Uganda.
So he and Matsanga are sort of...
No, I don't want to speak about somebody else other than the one you've asked me about. Number one. Number two, he went to an election to be elected in Kasarani. There was chaos and destruction at Kasarani. They could not elect because they said there were men in black. Ababu Namwamba and his party partners conspired to blackmail themselves into leadership of the Orange Democratic Movement. Ababu Namwamba has never been elected by any member of ODM to be Secretary General. I also want to tell you something about his constituency, Budalangi. Half of his Budalangi constituency is from Luo Nyanza. There is even a place I've had fish with the retired Prime Minister called Omena Beach. And Ababu Namwamba cannot be an MP without ODM. He does not represent either his community, the Luya people. From now, what I understand, he doesn't represent the Prime Minister who he taped in secret. And the members of his own committee. And the rules of parliament are very clear. The only way to remove a chairman elected to stand in a party or by party to a standing committee of parliament is by more than 50% of the vote.
Okay, Tony,
he has 23 members, Jeff. 13 voted against them. And 9 voted for him. Others abstained. And you may wonder why they abstained. But the question is, a man who doesn't have, one, the confidence of his party leader. He doesn't have a mandate because he's not elected. He's a hostage of ODM because his constituency is half ODM. And a man who is today writing to the speaker and accusing his members who have lost confidence in him. This reminds me of the story of this man in the bridge, Kiter. Alfred Kiter. What do you call this man? With a helicopter.
Correct.
He's got a helicopter like Ababu. They go on a chopper. From this chopper, they tell police, you must open the trucks to pass with Indian guests and friends. Does that surprise you? When somebody tells you the controller of State House has called me and try me, you see what will happen. My same Kiter.
Whatever happened to that Kiter thing, by the way?
Where did it happen? What will happen to Ababu? Parliament, in my view, as constituted today, for lack of a better word, a market of extortionists. People who have used the loophole in the constitution that removed ministers from being in government, who are MPs. MPs have put on themselves the following issues. One, ministers must come and answer to us. At a time we prescribe, and when we call them, they must come. What does that do? It opens a road to corruption. Because the minister knows, if I don't take care of these people, I'll be grilled. So the issues that are coming out now are part of imperial parliamentarian behavior, began by quashing the Senate, began by fighting the governors. Now they are fighting for their CDF and higher salaries.
But Tony, isn't Ababu the scapegoat in all this then? I mean, he's blown the whistle. Someone at least has blown the whistle. He stood up and said, you know, enough.
Did you never read the famous Chinua Achebe? that sometimes things fall apart. He created for himself a sense of wealth and importance. Just look at the way Ababu dresses. You think that he's a model. You know, look at the way he speaks. You think that he works for the 6 o'clock news. But you have to have substance behind how you dress and how you speak. And you also have to have integrity. When you say, I'm coming to a program, you come to it.
Yeah.
Now, these are the things we look for in leadership. Now, you yourself, my grandmother used to tell me, when you point your finger at somebody, 3 point back at you, and God is a witness. Now, he's been backing. As my friend, this lawyer, you call the Grand Mullah.
Yeah.
What do you call him?
The Grand Mullah, yeah.
I don't even want his number. I've deleted it.
Why?
Grand Mullah has been writing in The Nation, writing everywhere. He was anti-corruption chair, where he's now the lawyer for Kamani and James Bond. Now, you know, this country has got, you know, you can't even believe the stuff that this country is made of. That Abdullah Nasir is the representative and goes to the High Court. So Kamani cannot be arrested and charged like other people.
But I saw that tweet he sent you the other day, Tony. Ahmed Nasir Abdullah sent you a tweet saying, I have never represented any crook.
Now, let me put it to him this way. The president of Kenya, and by the way, this position that Ababu Namwamba holds, let's give it historical perspective. Holders of eminence who have been chairman of the PAC. Because ordinary Kenyans may think Tonny Gachoka is coming here to bash Ababu. He is bashing the history of parliament. Because the great Kijana wa Malwa was chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. His Excellency, the President Uhuru Kenyatta, has been chair of the Public Accounts Committee. So has his brother from Bungoma, Honorable Muskari Kombo. This has been a position that has been jealously guarded in Parliament because of its duty of oversight, credibility, and reputation beyond reproach. Look, so you cannot sit on this chair casually with a beautiful suit, and then when you are asked for the content of what you have done, you have a helicopter, your salary is known, how much tax. In fact, it's not just Ababu. There's a culture in this country that's shocking me. This man called Sonko, this guy, governor.
Yeah. Senator.
This guy, is he a senator? He wants to be a governor. I don't know what he wants. He drives 30 cars. The other day I went to Lavington to buy something for my wife. You can't park. He's got 30 cars. First of all, how much money does this man earn? Who does he work for? Does he work for Parliament or Senate? How much is his salary? How much income tax did Michael Sonko pay us? I hear he's accusing people of stealing. I want some audit in this country of people in public affairs. You can't have ambulance. You have a, you know,
but
you
know,
spend 300.
But he's giving back.
No, giving from where? Now, this is a problem. Now, what if you want to understand Ababu, you must understand Sonko. Because Ababu is competing with Sonko. So to become like Sonko, he must steal or, cause a situation where he can be like Sonko. Because Kenyans seem to celebrate people with money without asking where the money has come from. Without asking how do you have a government, why would you need to have a government?
But people see Sonko as a Robin Hood, Tony. You know, he steals from the rich, whatever it is, or he gets from the rich and gives to the poor. And that is what is called the Sonko syndrome that has infected Ababu Namwamba. And just like we did by the way,
Ebola,
I just meant, you know...
I'm just saying, because if you look for money as a cause, and you do not believe in the people, you do not believe in the Constitution, you don't believe in integrity. Okay, if you allow Ababu a minute and you go to the Anti-Corruption and Ethics Commission.
Oh, goodness.
Now,
which
you
is
got the chairman.
Being dismantled.
By who? The chairman, who first of all to get in had many issues of integrity.
Right.
He goes and fires somebody. The Constitution of Kenya prohibits him to do that act. Correct. It should be the CEO. Yeah. The CEO reinstates the person, and these people are meant to be handling corruption. Then Ababu, on the other hand, is meant to do what EACC doesn't do. He's the chairman of PAC. He's fired by his own members who write to the speaker to get him fired. Yeah. He then writes a letter to fire his own members. He goes and tapes the prime minister, not Jubilee, the orange side, and now he goes to a Jubilee speaker to save me. No, you can't make this stuff up.
No, you
even
cannot.
JKL,
no, you cannot.
You cannot make this stuff up.
Tony, it's almost like a comedy of errors.
It is because the Kenyan people waste their votes by electing people, not because of the content of their character, but because of where they come from and because of the promises they give them that the people pay for through the back door. This country must have a rude awakening. Now, what you get is what you deserve. You must now begin to ask ourselves from the beginning, where does Ababu come from? And that's why I told you he was born in Uganda. Then I asked you, who elected him? you told me he was sponsored by the ODM. His answer and gratitude to the ODM, one is to cause the men in black or be part of it. The second answer to ODM is to tape the Prime Minister and embarrass the Prime Minister from a very difficult job of political revival, from a very strong Jubilee.
Yeah.
And in the heart of it, Kajiado by-election is going on. So what I'm trying to explain, if the Secretary General of ODM is not campaigning in Kajiado, but he's campaigning in Parliament to save his job, it shows you that the ODM has been reduced to defending one of themselves on integrity rather than doing the jobs of politics.
Speaking of defending, Tony, we asked a poll earlier on. We said, do you still have faith in Ababu Namwamba as chairperson of the PAC, right? And a lot of, I think it's split 50-50. At the end of the day, that vote came 50-50. A lot of people still think this guy is the guy with the backbone. He stood up, he came out and he said something, because this institution, which Kenyans have lost faith in, seems even more rotten than we thought.
Then let's redress history, and if history is wrong, I will correct myself. The people who've changed the world have never been popular. The one popular in the polls, Martin Luther King, died at the humble age in his 30s.
39.
And he was shot.
Yeah.
Why did he die? Because he said, no violence, but we can change America. I saw President Obama and he's marching with his young daughters across the bridge the other day in order to remember the great sacrifice that people made for the march. Yeah. If you go to Mahatma Gandhi, he died a poor man as he lived a poor man. Today as we speak, Kenneth Matiba was admitted to the ICU. And until Kenneth Matiba dies, none of these politicians will ever say Matiba did anything. But I tell you, the day he dies, there will be helicopters, all of them falling to celebrate the life of a man who never said but did. Whether you go to the late J.M. Kariuki, whether you go to Robert Ouko, whether you go to Jaramogi Odinga himself, whether you go to the people who have made the great strides in history, they were never popular per se, but they stood for something. Whether you agreed or disagreed.
Does Ababu stand for something?
Is he here? Can you see him? Did he write to you to come? Am I involved in your program? Where is he? Did he come?
Tony, I want to take a break. Come back. You come back. We're talking about the EACC. This thing has become like a toothless bulldog. And why revive Anglo Leasing now? Why now, Tony?
There's a man I've told you before called James Bond. He walks in the day and in the night. If the moment you got to Deepak Kamani...
James who?
James Bond.
No.
It's like in the movies. What? 007. No, let me ask you. Okay. How does a commission start fighting itself unless there's a ghost?
This is our first...
They are called Anglo Leasing ghosts.
Yeah, this is our first day back. We don't want to be sued on the first show.
By James Bond?
Oh.
Does he have a P.O. box?
Oh.
Does James Bond... Is he a secret agent? Is he there? Because how come Casa was okay until Kamani was taken in?
Oh man, maybe.
Oh my lord. Oh James Bond, you're really good.
What a show. Where's my fire extinguisher? Tony has just shown up and he's taken off the gloves. At Tonny Gachoka, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag is JKL. We are talking about the state of corruption in this country, which seems just endemic. And it's going nowhere anytime soon. And now the bombshell by former PAC chairman Ababu Namwamba. What's going to happen in that trial? Well, Tonny Gachoka is going to try and unravel that for us, and other scandals that have rocked this nation for decades. Tony, this must be a really rich country. I mean, scandal after scandal, and we're still walking.
You know, KRA got over $1 trillion in tax collection. Ordinary Kenyans are paying their taxes. Ordinary Kenyans are doing their part. But what is happening? The political class is bleeding and bleeding the poor.
Do you pay your taxes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. JKL takes a break. We'll be back.